swamp is my world. It is who I am. It is what I am. I was once a man. I know the evil men do. Do not bring your evil here. I warn you. Beware the wrath of Swamp Thing.
In 1982, Wes Craven's Swamp Thing appeared in Germany as The Thing from the Swamp. Biologist Alec Holland develops in a government laboratory in the swamps of North Carolina a serum combining animal and plant matter to ensure life under extreme conditions. When the government employee Alice wants to bring him back to Washington for protection from the millionaire Arcane and his evil plans, Arcane and his henchmen attack the lab and kill Alec's sister. In the original and later in the TV series, it's his wife. Holland, now contaminated with the serum, flees into the swamp where he turns into a creature, half man, half plant, all Swamp Thing.
I can already hear your tune calling me across the room.
Arcane is able to replicate the serum, which seems to have a different effect on everyone, as it reveals the true nature of the, in this case, involuntary guinea pigs. He himself also takes it, since script says so, and turns into a murderous monster/leftover costume from the last kids' school play, just to get killed by Swampy in the final. The movie is based on Lean Wine and Bernie Wriggson's same-named DC comic character, who made his first appearance in July 1971 in the horror mystery anthology House of Secrets, issue 92. Comparable to Tales from the Crypt or Creepshow.
Stop staring at the ground.
In the original story, where later Alec Holland is also called Alex Olsen, and which is set according to the Victorian clothing in the 19th century,
I can practically see your face. And another revolutionary falls from grace.
Swamp Thing was created when a jealous friend manipulated a scientific experiment in order to steal his wife after the death of his rival. After the explosion of the laboratory, he carries the unconscious, chemical-laden body into the swamp. When the woman doesn't react to his advances as planned, he decides to kill her too, before she reveals the truth. Just at that moment, the dead husband appears as Swamp Thing, kills the false friend and returns into the swamp because he isn't able to speak and his wife is afraid of him. The story also appeared again in Swamp Thing issue 33 from February 1985. He got his own series in 1972 to 76. The second origin story has some similarities to the movie. Biologist Alec Holland and his wife are researching a synthesis of animal and plant life in a secret government laboratory in the swamp under the protection of their friend FBI agent Matt Cable. During a raid by gangsters on behalf of the so-called Mr. E, he falls into the swamp on fire together with his newly discovered serum and turns into the Swamp Thing, a human-like being with the abilities of a plant such as photosynthesis, strength, healing powers and regrowth of severed limbs. His wife dies during a second attack by the same henchman, which leads Cable to believe that Swamp Thing is responsible for the death of his friends, and he starts to hunt him since then. Due to the friendly character of Holland, Swamp Thing is also a fundamentally positive figure, who is sensitive to environmental pollution. In the first series, he fought against evil while searching for the man who murdered his wife and caused his transformation, also looking for a way to become a human again. Although they only met twice during the first series, in issue 2 and in issue 10, as a transformed monster, the scientist/wizard Anton Arcane became his arch enemy. Obsessed to gain immortality in order to take revenge on those who didn't take him seriously as a scientist, and supported by his nightmarish army, the so-called Unman, Arcane tries to find the perfect host, which he assumes is Swamp Thing. The Unman are his failed experiment results. Both encounters with Swamp Thing end apparently deadly for him. The first time he jumps out of the window and dies. The second time he seems to be revived and appears as a mutation, never seen again after the final, where he also seems to die. In issue 3, Arcane's brother appears, whose daughter Abby develops feelings for Swamp Thing during this series. In the last 2 issues, Swamp Thing turned back into Alec Holland and had to fight against one last threat. This nonsensical development led nowhere and was later largely ignored. Although the next issue was already announced, the series was cancelled and Swamp Thing only had guest appearance from then on. When I first time saw The Thing from the Swamp on TV as a child, I thought it was absolutely great, especially because of the logical story, the scary monsters and the super realistic effects. Today I still think it's a great movie, but for exactly the opposite reasons. And of course nostalgia. There are no numbers available how much the entertaining horror trash fest made from his $3 million budget back. More about Wes Craven in the upcoming retrospectives. In the fairway of the Wes Craven movie, a new Swamp Thing series also appeared. 1982 to 96, the saga of the Swamp Thing, since 85 just Swamp Thing, in which among others Alan Moore participated from issue 20 to 64. See also the Alan Moore film adaptations retrospective V for Vendetta. The streetwise magician and anti-hero John Constantine appeared as a cameo in June 1984 in the saga of the Swamp Thing issue 25 and revealed himself completely in June 1985 in issue 37. From January 1988 to February 2018 in his own series Hellblazer with 300 issues, and since then as Constantine the Hellblazer, and so on. Magic and occult stuff I don't care for, especially not in comic form, so I am not familiar with his stories. I can't stand the movie from 2005 like everyone with a sane mind. I think the 13 episodes of the 2014 series, which was cancelled after one season, are okay. Don't care for the 2018 animated movie because I'm not interested, and also not in his appearances since season 3 in the 2016 series Legends of Tomorrow, because I stopped taking this sleeping pill right after episode 2. Alan Moore changed, among other things, Swamp Thing's origins. From there on, he was no longer half human, but something different. To be precise, a plant that just thinks it is Alec Holland. There's also more than just one swamp creature appearance, which explains the very first Swamp Thing in the anthology House of Secrets. And he also went into his relationships and sex life by introducing a possibility of physical union accomplished by eating psychedelic foods from his body, indicated in Return of the Swamp Thing, which also uses pictures from the original comics in the opening credits, which is probably the reason why this garbage is associated with Moore's run. From 2000 to 2001, Volume 3 with 20 issues was published by the DC label Vertigo. And under the same label also Volume 4 with 29 issues from 2004 to 2006. Volume 5 from 2011 to 2015 with 40 issues was part of the New 52. And 2016, Volume 6 had only 6 issues, but this time again under DC like Volume 1 and 2. In addition, there were specials in between which are not on this list. I am personally only interested in the first 2 volumes. In 1989, Swamp Thing returns in Schlockmaster with Jim Wynorski's unwatchable same-name Cucumber. In Germany, the responsible person clearly didn't know how to translate return, so he went the usual lazy road of I don't give a fuck since I get paid anyway, and just called it like the first one, only a bit greener. The Green Thief from the Swamp. This so-called movie is a kind of remake sequel whatsoever with a short flashback scene, and tries unfortunately to be a comedy. When I tried to watch it in the 90s, I already gave up shortly after the annoying introduction scene. Wynorski flicks, I counted 70 so far, are terrible enough when they try to be serious, but at least sometimes with a trash entertainment value thanks to that. Like his directional debut The Lost Empire from 1984, very entertainingly reviewed by my friend Sebastian from the Sci-Fi Night channel during our collaboration Bad Film Good Soundtrack Part 1 in 2018. Also, Cass and the Captain from the befriended Movie Island Show channel took in the same year a sober German look on this disaster. Links for both channels as usual in the description. Abby visits her stepfather Dr. Arcane, who mutated and died at the end of the first movie, but is back now because who cares? He is looking for the cure for something, I guess, also immortality and stuff, so he breeds human-animal hybrids, some of which constantly escape and attack people, some of whom are rescued by the Swamp Thing, but then not really, because they get immediately captured by Arcane's guards/Joker mercenary troops. Unless they are children who try unsuccessfully to be funny in endlessly stretched out scenes during the whole damn movie. Swamp Thing and Abby get closer. Arcane seems to need both of them because Science? In the end, his plan works out, but somehow it doesn't, and he apparently dies a second time in a fire. Swamp Thing can revive his dead new girlfriend and happy end, I guess. Except, of course, you could avoid this slug for 30 years and then have to watch it for a stupid review anyway. From 1990 to 93, the TV series Swamp Thing appeared as a sequel, with 72 25-minute episodes. And like in the two movies with stuntman actor Dick Durock in the this time well-made costume. Again, there are hardly any similarities with the original except for some names and the origin story.
Well, alright, watch out.
The entertaining series is a clear improvement on its predecessors, but again not a serious adaptation of the comics and their mythological rich world. The first episodes seem like from a kids' TV show. It is mainly about a little boy who secretly befriends the Swamp Thing and whose single mother is constantly for reasons hit on by Dr. Arcane, who, thanks to a corrupt police, so no difference to today's uniformed friends and protectors of Big Pharma and rich criminals in general, constantly gets away with shootings, explosions and disappearing persons. His work on the immortality serum has caused his beloved wife to fall into a coma. So he keeps her in a glass coffin and tries to find a way to bring her back to life. In almost every episode he creates the monster of the week, which is usually fought off by the Swamp Thing. After 12 episodes, the tone changes abruptly when Arcane sells off the boy to child dealers and fakes his death. A never mentioned before already grown up half-brother takes over for the supposedly dead kid, and the disappeared boy somehow 2 episodes later is no longer an issue. Really disturbing and creepy development. Dr. Arcane is also the only interesting character, who gets at least some kind of development. All others remain quite pale and two-dimensional. Swamp Thing himself is a bit boring, and usually stands in the bushes, looking concerned or gives unasked advice. In the extremely short second season, just 11 episodes, and in season 3, in some episodes he barely shows up. And sometimes it's about mysterious or unexplained deaths, which are somehow connected to the swamp, kind of Twilight Zone Swamp Edition. Ray Wise, Alec Holland actor from Wes Craven's 1982 flick, has a guest appearance in Never Alone, episode 19 of season 3.
Well, alright, watch out.
Similar to the screwed up final of the original series from the 70s, Volume 1, each of the 3 seasons has a storyline at the end in which the Swamp Thing tries or becomes temporarily or partially human again.
And that I will again be human.
Well, alright, watch out.
At the same time, there was also a same-named animated series with 30 minutes each episode. After only 5 episodes, it was cancelled. The series was following the annoying trend of silly, adult or horror anti-heroes made for children's shows. Swamp Thing and his uninteresting, boring or annoying cliché friends fight against Arcane and his uninteresting, boring or annoying cliché gang of Unman and other villains like Dr. Demu, Weed Killer and Skin Man. 2019, another thing with 10 one-hour episodes crawled out of DC's TV swamp. In the fantasy series, Abby Arcane is a doctor who tries to help people. Ah, that's why it's called fantasy. I get it. Works for the CDC and returns home to Louisiana to investigate a deadly swamp-borne virus whose victims have similar symptoms, get ill and die. But I thought most of deadly ill people with a viral disease are asymptomatic or symptom-free. Nobody gets sick or dies from it, at most with it. And everybody is supposedly infected. Who is so stupid to get tested, aka getting a stick rammed through his nose into his brain? Which, by the way, has never ever been used in human history as a disease test for anything. Oh, that's right. That's how it works only in the real world. And in this real world, we know, at least since Corona, that terror organizations like the CDC, WHO, and co. do not fight viruses but invent them to spread unnecessary fear and terror, and in the best case to sell useless vaccines already proven make more people sick or dead than the made-up disease itself. Unlike in the movies, doctors in the real world do not care about their patients, but only about money and their career. What we hear clearly in the deafening silence about the harmful slave masks, which now more and more children are falling victim to. Except, of course, there are no doctors at all, but bought frauds, aka swine flu priests with obviously afterwards together doctor dissertation, a fake doctor title lent by accomplices and helpful criminals from the system, and their pig head deeply in the ass of the pharma industry.
Das ist doch gar nicht wahr, nicht wahr. Das ist doch gar nicht wahr. Die Masse ist voll wie ein Schaf, die Freiheit wird sich im Grab.
And getting apparently a hunting premium for most by deliberately giving wrong medical advice harmed or killed people. Abby befriends the disgraced scientist Alec Holland, who tragically dies, aka gets shot and falls into contaminated water, becoming the new green thing out of the swamp. The series got already cancelled after the first episode was aired, thanks to creative differences. For solving those, cutting it down from 13 to 10 episodes was for sure no help either, I guess. Other sources cite financial reasons and a not granted tax subsidy. I personally was quite happy that I only had to struggle through 10 episodes of this bore fest. Despite good cast and passable effects, the many soap opera / relationship elements are annoying as hell, especially with the side characters, which should first be at least fully established before trying to manipulate the audience to care for them. From my point of view, only some horror and gore scenes are kind of interesting. The so-called plot doesn't make even for 2 seconds sense and sinks early on into the swamp of this over-dramatic presented whatsoever.